Is it possible to actually have things removed off your credit with the force of an attorney, even if you don't have the money for an attorney? Well, it absolutely is with my secret letter. And I'm going to share with you exactly what the secret letter is and how to use it. So buckle up your seatbelts because I have a lot of stuff to share with you in a short period of time. So here we go. All right, so you're probably wondering, well, Monica, I would love to actually be able to participate in some of the other opportunities that you are talking about in some of your other videos, as far as being able to buy a business or being able to get unsecured business credit. It's just that I don't have that 750 or above mid FICO that you always talk about when it comes to getting unsecured credit, you know, in the $50,000 to $100,000 or more range. So how do I get my personal FICO score up there as fast as possible? Well, I always tell everybody that you want to do at least 3 rounds of disputes with the 3 credit reporting bureaus, which is Experian, Equifax, and Transunion. Do that at least 3 times before we pull out what we call the big guns. And if things are just simply not falling off your credit, or they're not updating to be able to show that it's a positive on your credit report instead of a negative, then you're going to have to do what we call the big gun approach. And by the big guns, I mean actually bringing in an attorney letter, particularly, to be able to help chisel off these things that are just simply not coming off your credit and showing favorably on your credit reports. So I essentially recommend that people utilize my famous attorney letter. Now, this was an attorney letter that my attorney in Beverly Hills, California had actually drafted up for me years ago, and one that I've been able to successfully give to students like yourself, to be able to show you what the exact format is. And this is essentially a template that's available to you in my description box below. You can actually download this free template. It's just, I will warn you, do not use this exact template. Do not use my attorney's information, including my attorney's address and so forth. You have to actually get yourself your own attorney. Now, the good news is this. If you go on Fiverr.com, I will give you some recommendations in the description box below, so check that out, on different people who are actual licensed attorneys here in the United States of America. You don't want to use people in Pakistan or India or all these other different places that are not licensed attorneys here in the US. And so if you choose from a couple of different licensed attorneys that are here in the United States, I do have some recommendations on Fiverr.com of people who actually will do these letters for you. Just simply give them this template that is downloadable. I have a download link there in the description box, and just say, hey, I met this lady who's awesome on YouTube who gave me this amazing letter. I need you to put this amazing letter on your letterhead. How much is it going to cost me? And it'll cost anywhere from $35 to $100. It just depends on who you're using. And that's definitely a bargain in comparison to what it would cost to actually have an attorney do this for you. Many times attorneys will charge a minimum retainer of about $2,500 to do these types of letters and these things for you. But many of these attorneys that you'll find on Fiverr.com, they're going to require you to actually send the letter yourself. So that's fine. All you need to do is get their permission to be able to use their letterhead, get them to put this exact template together for you on their letterhead. And then what you can do is you could send the letters from your own post office, even using their return address and using the address of the following. So you're going to want to send one of these letters to Experian, one of these letters to Equifax, one of these letters to Transunion, and you're also going to want to send a letter to each of the creditors or collection agencies that are not falling off your credit. So that's a lot of letters, and you're likely going to want to send them USPS priority trackable to make sure that these people are receiving your letters, and you're going to use the return address of the law firm that you have hired off of Fiverr.com for a super cheap discounted price. And the reason you want to do this is because when you pull out the big guns and you actually have an attorney who's licensed in the United States, does not matter where they're licensed, does not matter if it's not the state where you reside, does not matter. In fact, credit falls under the federal statutes of the law, not your state in most cases. Yes, there's state nuances to the law, but credit for the most part falls under the federal legal umbrella, which means you can actually have an attorney in New York and live in California, and they can work on your behalf, or at least provide a letterhead that they're from New York, even though you're in California, or whatever the case may be. So my recommendation to you is that you get an account from stamps.com. You sign up for one of their free trials. They'll usually have like a free trial for 14 to 30 days or something like that. And then when you go into the stamps.com system, when you generate your own labels for sending out priority trackable mail, you can get some of those free cardboard mailers for priority mail from your local United States Postal Service. And what you can do is you can actually send this letter, the letter from your law firm that you've hired on Fiverr, and you can put the return address of your USPS priority letter from the law firm. So a lot of people don't know, but they can actually change the from address in the settings of the stamps.com system. So you can have several different options for people that you can, or rather addresses that you could send from in stamps.com. One of them will be obviously you, because you're the account holder, but you can add a whole bunch of others underneath there, including your law firm that you've hired out, and you can actually send these letters from that address. So it actually looks like it's coming from the law firm itself. It's pretty powerful stuff, because whenever the credit bureaus or your collection agencies or creditors are getting letters from an actual attorney, they don't ignore you. Trust me on that. They do not ignore you, okay? So even if they ignored your requests for, additional information, they ignored everything that you've sent to them, they will not ignore an attorney. Now, to ratchet it up just a little bit, because you're going to be mailing these and not emailing, we're not going to be doing this online, we're going to be mailing them USPS priority trackable mail, which you get automatically when you go through stamps.com. Please note that you're going to want it to look as professional as possible, which means that I recommend you go to Office Depot, you get yourself some linen paper. So spend a little bit of money to buy a pack of 20 or 25 sheets of linen paper to look like it's coming off of letterhead, and run that through your laser printer, and then mail that in the priority envelope. Now you're probably wondering, what do I do about the signature? Just see how this is just a little squiggly thing. Just do a little squiggly at the bottom. Most people just assume that doctors and attorneys just can't sign very well anyway, and nobody's going to think twice about it, that it's not the real signature of the attorney. And for legal purposes, most attorneys don't use their actual legal signature on letters anyway, for the purposes of fraud and for the purposes of protecting themselves. So, because who's to say that you lift off the signature off of his letter and then find out what his bank account information is and use that exact signature on a bunch of bogus checks. So that's why most professionals don't actually use their legal signature anyway, to protect themselves in that way. So all you need to do is just get the letter. You'll just use like a blue ink pen ideally, so people know that it's actual signature, and just do a little scribble at the bottom, and then put that into the USPS priority envelope and mail it off to those places that I talked about, which is again Experian, Equifax, Transunion, and each one of the creditors or collection agencies that you are having issues with that are not removing these things off your credit after the 3 rounds of disputes. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about as far as the rounds of disputes, look at my other credit videos on YouTube. I talk about exactly how to do your dispute process. And you want to do that 3 times first before you pull out the big guns and spend the money on your law firm that you select to be able to create this letterhead for you. And then you're going to go ahead and go to town and mail these off. And you will get things taken off, because it's powerful when an attorney is involved. Even if it's a discount, low budget attorney, it doesn't matter. They don't know that, right? And whatever they don't know may or may not hurt them, but it's neither here nor there. You're getting the process to finally move for you on your behalf. So that's the way I recommend that you do it. It's really a powerful way to get things that are just not chiseled off on your credit report that's negatively affecting you. And it's a really good way to get that stuff removed right off the bat. Now, I will mention though, because a lot of people ask me in the comments, they're like, hey, can I do this if I have lates, but it's a revolving open account? Or can I do this if it's an open revolving account? You can, but it's harder to work with open revolving accounts than it is to try to get things chiseled off your credit reports that's already closed. So if it's a closed charge off, closed judgment, closed account period, it's a lot easier to work with those first, And then later on, if you find that you really want to start working with already open, currently revolving accounts that maybe have a bunch of lates or something that you want to get chiseled off, you can then do this process with those later. Do that last, okay? Because your lates are not going to affect you as much as you think, especially if you start paying your bills now. Like, if you're not paying your bills, I mean, listen, we have to at some point in time make it a commitment to pay our bills on time, right? Just pay whatever you can pay. But you have to start getting things caught up. And then you could start to go after those lates with, you know, first your 3 rounds of disputes and then with your legal letter. But I would only use the legal letter for right now for those accounts that are currently closed, whether it's a judgment, a charge off, even a foreclosure, a repo, bankruptcy, whatever. It's just, it's done, it's over with. Those are the ones that I would focus on first. And then later, if you have a whole bunch of lates on, say, your Capital One card, and you finally brought everything up to speed and 6 months has gone by, then and only then would I use something like this. After my 3 rounds of disputes, I would then and only then use a letter like this to start to dispute the lates, you know, with the attorney letter. And again, only after you've done 3 full dispute rounds, okay? So if this has been helpful to you, please give me a nice thumbs up. And also, if you could, in the comments area, indicate to me any credit type of topic you'd like me to clarify or talk about. Go ahead and mention that in the comments. I'd be more than happy to talk about any kind of credit issue or situation that you might be facing right now, and then I would be more than happy to do a video for you. So go ahead and in the comments, if you can include some questions, I would be more than happy to do videos on those for you. And also, don't forget to subscribe so that you can actually see what those videos are when they come out. This is Monica Main signing off, and I will see you in the next video.